So the NSLI application season has started again, suddenly, and I figured that since I am a finalist now for the academic year program in Korea, I could give some of my advice, or more, well, full disclaimer, this is just going to be my experience. I can't promise that what I'm going to say would work for anybody else. I'm just going to talk about what I did and what worked for me. First things first, the application is very long. I don't really remember exactly how long it is, but you're going to be working on it for a while, and I suggest to at least start looking it over immediately, just so you know everything that's going to be in there and you can start budgeting time for yourself. The first year I applied, 2 years ago, I completely rushed the application and I did not even make it to semifinals. This year I really took my time on every part of it, and I made it to finalist status, obviously. Ask your teachers for recommendations early, and your parents, make sure you get on them to do it. I've heard horror stories of people's parents not submitting the form on time, and that would be really sad. Another tip is to make everything personal. It can seem tempting to just be vague about everything, about why you're interested, if no examples pop into your head immediately, but you really need to think it through. Think about really why you're interested. There should be something that's really pulling you to the specific program that you're applying for. And just in my experience, the first year I applied, when I did not make it through, I had Korean summer as my first choice and Chinese summer as my second choice. Korean, I have a much more of a connection to Korean, the language, so I spent most of my time talking about that and dedicated maybe one sentence to why I was interested in Chinese summer as a backup choice. And now that I think about it, I really kind of wish I hadn't done that. Because I was not as connected to Chinese, I think it really showed, and that's one sentence I could have dedicated to Korean to make my application for the Korean program stronger. So I'm not going to say you shouldn't apply for more than one language, because I don't really know how that looks on the applications, but I think you should think about how you want to prioritize the space you have, because the essays are very short. Also, submit your application early. That will get rid of a lot of stress, and it will prevent any situations where maybe your power goes out, the internet goes down, the website crashes. You want to give yourself plenty of time to turn it in way before the deadline. So something that I saw pretty often when I was applying for NSLI myself is people go into the process with this mindset of, if there's a few things I mention, that will get me through. Or there's a few things that you can't mention or you're immediately going to be disqualified. There's definitely no one way that you're going to get accepted. They're looking for diversity in every imaginable way. Personally, I'm very introverted. Even just talking in front of a camera is not easy for me, and I was really worried that that would show through my application and they would think that I would not make a good fit in this country. But obviously it didn't, or at least didn't disqualify me. So for me, that kind of proved that they are looking for all types. Now, there are some things that I think you should mention, as long as they apply to yourself, obviously. They're looking for mature people, they're looking for open-minded people, they're looking for people with a passion for languages and culture. I think those are all given things, but you should definitely make sure to mention those things and how they apply to yourself and your application. That will make you a stronger applicant, definitely. So once you've submitted your application, then begins the waiting process, one of possibly multiple for you. And if you're anything like me, you are going to hate the entire time that you're waiting. I have been pretty obsessed with this program for years, and the anticipation and how nerve-wracking it was really got to me. So you're going to want to distract yourself. There's nothing you can do once your application is submitted to affect it one way or the other. Clear your head, that will help you a lot. Just calm down and wait for whatever happens to happen. So if you don't make it through semifinals, I've been there and I know how bad it feels. But you shouldn't linger on that, and you shouldn't think that being rejected once means you have no chances to get into the program. When I was rejected, I took it as an opportunity to better my application for next year and make myself a more competitive applicant. I thought of all the things I could have done to make my application better, like giving myself more time, having someone read over my essays, asking a teacher who I was closer with to write my recommendation. There are so many things you can always improve. So try to just think of it that way, as an opportunity to improve, and I think that's a much better way of looking at it, definitely. Now, if you do make it through the first round of selection, that is when you're going to have to schedule your interview. I was so nervous about my interview because, like I said, I'm an introvert. I have not been interviewed many times, but luckily for me and who I am, no matter what I say, it kind of comes off like I know what I'm talking about, so I wasn't too nervous. But I would recommend practicing and having some ideas for what kind of questions they're going to ask you. Now, I'm not saying to do this. but I scoured NSLI blogs looking for the kinds of questions they were going to ask and examples. I put together a document of likely question topics, and I went through them all and thought about how I would answer them. I gave some to my parents to ask me so I could practice answering them, and I gained a lot of confidence that way, knowing what I was going to say. There are some given questions, why you're interested, what your goals would be for the program, but they're also going to want to know about you as a person in general, your friends, your family, your personality, your interests, all kinds of things. You should be prepared to talk about pretty much anything. There were definitely some curveballs in there in the interview that I didn't know how to answer, so just be prepared for that. It's not a big deal if you have to take a few seconds to think about it, or if you aren't really sure, and I know for a fact I answered some questions pretty badly. So don't think that if there's a question you stumble on, or if you aren't sure about your answer, that automatically disqualifies you. The processes of NSLI are a mystery, and from what I've seen, no matter how you feel about your interview, if you think it went really well, if you think it went really bad, it's still up in the air at that point. So just try to relax. So for the actual experience of the interview, I had to drive about an hour because I live in Kentucky. I drove to Cincinnati. Now once you get there, there's going to be some alumni that you can talk to. Please talk to them. Definitely do that. So the NSLI group of people that I've met so far, and I haven't met many, but I have met a few, they are some of the coolest people you're ever going to meet, especially if there's people that are alumni of the program you're applying to. That sounds pretty obvious, but just talk to them, definitely. So for the actual interview, for my experience, there was one woman who interviewed me. She was pretty young and she was pretty reserved, like me, which kind of did make it awkward. But as long as you're answering the questions, it's okay. I was expecting more of a conversation, which was kind of how I was led to believe it would be, but it turned out to be she asked the questions, I answered them, she said nothing, and asked another question. Yeah, it wasn't great, but I got through it, and you can too. I've seen people asking questions about what you should wear to the interview. I would say business casual. I don't really have much to say for that. I have like one standard business outfit that I've had for years, and I wore that. It's like a dark pencil skirt and a nice blouse. But honestly, I think as long as you look presentable, what you're wearing is not going to affect anything. But definitely do look pretty professional. So once your interview is done, you're going to have another waiting period, which is going to feel like it lasts forever. And it kind of does. I did apply for Korean academic year, as everybody knows by now. So I had one of the longest waiting periods out of anybody. I think Korean academic year was one of the last ones released, if not dead last. So same advice as before, just find something else to do, take your mind off of things. That will make it so much easier. By the time I got the notification that I was accepted, I was not even thinking about it anymore. It was just in the back of my head because I was never that confident that it would even happen, so I wasn't even thinking about it that much. And I think that the surprise factor made it a lot better of an experience. I did cry in class. And same as before, if you don't make it through the final selection process, please don't think of it as a personal failure or a judgment of you or anything. NSLI just decided that for whatever reason, you weren't a perfect fit for the program right now. But that could change in the future. You can apply again, and that definitely does not mean that you're never going to have an opportunity like this. There are always opportunities, and honestly, I really don't even know why I was selected. But what I'm trying to say is I don't have any secrets of NSLI that I can give out. Nobody does. About the selection process anyway. So all I can say is be genuine throughout the entire process. Be honest. Make it personal. Make everything personal because they want to see how dedicated you are, how passionate you are about the program and the language program you're applying to. If you do make it through the second round of selections, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, I'm going to have an advice video for that too, or not really an advice video, but I'm just going to talk about how the preparation process has been for me, and that's going to be very Korean academic year program specific, but it might be helpful for the like 12 people that are going to be in my situation next year. So that's going to be coming out soon. And also, I do have kittens in my yard right now, so they're really cute, so I might make another video of that. And I am going to be going to World Fest again this year, probably. So that's probably going to be my last video before I leave for Korea. And then it'll be all Korea for 8 or 9 or 10 months. So that's super exciting. Thanks for watching. prevent any horror stories. Oh my gosh, I keep saying horror stories. So it's application season. Oh gosh, oh gosh, gosh, oh my gosh, that sounds rude. Oh gosh, that doesn't make sense. Oh gosh, how do I say this? Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. What? Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. I don't want to mention that. No, I can't talk about that. Oh gosh, that doesn't make any sense. I don't really have anything else to say at this point. I'm just talking.